What's up, guys? This is Courtney, Bruce, and John.
Yo,
Yeah, what up?
Hey, I like that. I like that. All right, so just like we talked about last week, this week we're gonna be talking about the Incredible Hulk. Now, this is not necessarily going to be a straight up review of the movie, but as all three of us, agreed to last week, we think that the Incredible Hulk has gotten a very bad rap and doesn't get the credit that it deserves as being one of the better films in the MCU. So we're going to talk about that today, or tonight rather. I wanted to let me go ahead and start it off with the tweets that I mentioned last time when we were talking about. I forgot what we were talking about last week. That quick. Oh, the Spider-Man shit.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
So the tweet that I mentioned, I pulled it up right here. Incredible Hulk gets a lot of disrespect, but it's the earliest of the MCU films that had a distinct style to it. People complain about the MCU films being cookie cutter and relying too much on comedy, and the Incredible Hulk didn't at all. It showed it's not fun to be Bruce Banner, and it was almost a horror thriller. And I will always die on this hill. Again, that was my tweet, and that's how I felt about the Incredible Hulk for quite some time now. Again, for as much complaint, which I still disagree with, right? I don't think that the MCU films are cookie cutter because a lot of them are their own genres. They do have like a way of using comedy. Some more than others have a way of using comedy to lean on more heavily, and some don't. But for all the complaints that the MCU movies get about being cookie cutter and everything like that, The Incredible Hulk is never talked about as being one of the most distinctly stylized films of the MCU, of the early MCU. Because again, it was a fucking horror thriller, to me, at least. And if it wasn't a horror thriller, it was definitely a thriller with body horror elements. And
I can see that.
Yeah, and I, as we all agreed last time, it just doesn't get the credit it deserves. And I honestly don't know why. Why do people rank the Incredible Hulk so low?
Dude, okay, before we start, I want to say just how disrespectful they do treat the Incredible Hulk. So they release like Marvel Studios like visual guide or some shit. Like the MCU. And it's like, and they go in chronological order for which, so it's like pictures and storyboards and stuff, and just like visual art from the movies.
Yeah.
And the Incredible Hulk is nowhere to be found in his book.
Is this an official licensed book by Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think I know what book he's talking about. But even then, like, they just, even in anything, like whenever they're doing like the recaps or they're showing the history of the Marvel universe, it's like it's been blacklisted.
Yeah.
It's like they Hulk Hogan the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, or Chris Benoit, like it doesn't even exist anymore. Like
Yeah.
none of that. Like, it's like they tried to pull some Men in Black shit where they were like, yeah, that never happened.
Yeah.
That was a lie.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because that movie legit is, I mean, to me, and I don't know, I'm in the minority here, but that movie is one of the best MCU solo movies, like, in all of the phases to me. Like, it just, I think one of the reasons that it, honestly, I couldn't understand, I can't answer why it's blacklisted or why it's low
I think
in
I
anybody's
can, but
list.
continue.
But, I mean, like, the movie did something that I don't think any other like universe, like in a film universe or like any film has ever done, because they're the first to, like, I may be wrong here, but they're the first to do like a not reboot, but like a reboot mixed in with a sequel. Because the one movie that is like the one Hulk movie that's garbage is the Eric Bana movie. Like that movie, well, and artistically it's okay. Like it's not a horrible movie. Like if it's on Sci-Fi Network or like whatever, I mean, I could sit through it. But like for them to come back and like give you the Incredible Hulk that we got, it was just
It was a
like,
much big step up.
oh yeah, like, and it was just crazy because like we got that and Iron Man in the same year, but Hulk didn't get all the, it didn't get as much love as Iron Man got, but like after I saw Iron Man and then walking into the Incredible Hulk and then them like merging the two together and seeing, Tony Stark at the end and the Stark Industries logo and the Shield logo and everything,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh shit. Like that was just like, it was, I guess that was the level of like building a universe, but like they didn't reference like a lot of things like the way that the MCU does now. Like everything is like super, super connected in the MCU. And that's one of the things that like, kind of like, yeah, we know about that already. We don't have to be reminded that these are in the same universe. But the Incredible Hulk just did it like ever so slightly where you're like, damn, that is the same universe. Like, whoa. And then I guess just the movie being like you were saying, that almost like horror kind of feeling. Like when they made Bruce turn into the Hulk in that movie, like it was dope the way he described it when he was like driving with Betty and he's like, it's like someone's leaking battery acid into my brain.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that he's like that he likes to do.
Right.
And I don't know, it was just, I don't know, I loved it. It's like literally, I think it's like top 5 of like as far as solo movies. Like it's probably top 5 maybe, but I know definitely it's in my top 10.
Yeah. Bruce, go ahead and make your point because I'm gonna go ahead and look to see if I still have that screenshot of my MCU rankings that I did when I made that video because I can't exactly remember where I put the Incredible Hulk. But go ahead and make whatever point you're about to make.
Mine's just, hopefully it'll be short. I still got to hammer it out of my brain.
Yeah.
What I like about the Incredible Hulk and what makes it feel different to me is basically the first couple of solo movies. They did have that little scene connecting everything thrown in Thor, but the first phase 1 solo movies felt like they were part of the same universe, but they also felt incredibly individual to me, like they could stand on their own if they weren't connected. So you had, like the post-credit scene when Tony Stark showing up, but Incredible Hulk looked like it took place, like one thing I will always compare stuff to is the comics, and it felt like, I had this writing team, this artist, like this visual team, this inker, this, colorist, just all coming together to make this beautiful story. But if needed to, it could just easily just jump in with everything else that's going on and fit in that place. Like it could connect. And I think one of the things about it that makes it really good to me is what, you do have Thunderbird showing up later on, but since Edward Norton never reprises his role with everybody else and, with the Avengers and everything, it still feels like it's part of that universe, but there's nothing really, let's see, how can I word this? So by Edward Norton not being in the Avengers, it's like, okay, yeah, this movie exists, but it feels like, I look at it, okay, I will compare it to this. It's like the Morlocks versus the X-Men.
Okay.
So, the X-Men are out there, just all the way out there. The Morlocks basically hiding underground, living their life. That's what the Incredible Hulk is. It's a good movie, part of this bigger universe that not many people go back. Like it doesn't, it's not constantly being brought out to be like, hey, this movie still exists. It's like, oh, we have Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk now, so there's no need to really talk about this. And then you go back and it's like, oh, they did some decent setup with the Incredible Hulk. And
yeah, I
so
can't.
Just
no, go ahead.
No, that's basically it for me.
I can't. I think I deleted that screenshot of the listing that I had. Let me see if I actually have it in my notes still. I think I might have deleted that as well. Oh, nope. All right, awesome. I still got it. So, I and this was right after Captain Marvel. So this is only 22, not 23 movies. Wait, it's 23, right?
I honestly couldn't keep up at this point. But while you're thinking of that, I just want to basically touch on what Bruce said. I think at that time, like Bruce, he said something along the lines of like, they acknowledged that it was in the same universe, but the movies still felt like standalone movies.
Yeah.
Like they were in, and that's like, I guess what's crazy is like now we've gotten to a point where like, and if I can compare it to, like I said, just piggyback on what Bruce was saying is like, now all they do is like, even though they're solo movies, they feel like sequels. Like, or they feel like 2 hour commercial or 2 hour like trailers to something bigger because they're always like going to a group. Like there's nothing. I think that's another reason Daredevil got such positive. Like the first season of Daredevil on Netflix is because it acknowledged being in the same universe, but like it was just a different style, and it wasn't like the same. Like I think that's where the term is that the MCU keeps getting that cookie cutter name is because they just feel like they're being made by the same person, and it's like, man, there's not a big opportunity to be creative on another level and like give a standalone movie, like something that you can watch. But like nowadays, like, and this is, like I said, solely my opinion, but like now people who don't watch the MCU movies or like that watch them, but they're not like super, super knowledgeable. They're like, hey man, if I watch this movie, do I have to go back and watch this movie? And it's just like, you didn't have to watch Iron Man. Like, I mean, it definitely would have made more sense if you watched Iron Man and then watched The Incredible Hulk, but you didn't have to watch Iron Man to watch The Incredible Hulk. So, like, now it's like, well, you got to watch that movie to watch this movie and know what happened, because it's almost like they're 2 hour shows or 2 hour episodes, and, like, it doesn't give anybody that. It basically says, well, now what we're doing is now there's, like, different level tier like of characters, which is kind of like the thing that Marvel wasn't trying to do in the beginning. I mean, I know they were trying to make everybody like an A-list character, but they kind of lost themselves along the line, making their C-level character Iron Man into an A-level character. But now, like, you have Spider-Man, who's like an A-level flagship character who's getting listed as like a C-level character, like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that's for another conversation. We were talking about that last week.
Yeah.
But never mind. Sorry.
Let's try not to go over it again.
Yeah.
No, I disagree about the MCU feeling like it's been made by the same people. But again, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Incredible Hulk. So on the list here, it's 21 movies. I'm pretty sure it might be 22 because after Captain Marvel, we had Endgame, and then nothing came. No, okay, 23 because of Far From Home. All right, so when this was made, this was back in March. This is right after Captain Marvel had come out, but before Endgame, obviously. I listed out all 21 movies, and I actually ranked them in accordance to, where I thought they needed to be. And because it's 21, basically you had, the way that I broke it down was 3 categories or 3 kind of tiers, I guess you can say. So top 7, middle 7, bottom 7, right? Now, just because a movie lands in the middle 7, but it might be 12 or something like that, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a super bad movie or anything like that. Again, I have a video on this list and explaining why I put the movies where I put them. But Incredible Hulk is number 10 on that list, right? Which will put it number 3 in the mid-tier, the middle 7 of the tier list. Because the first, and I'd have to update it to include Endgame and Far From Home. But as it stands in March of this year, there's Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Guardians 1, Iron Man 3, Black Panther, and Thor. That's the top, and Thor Ragnarok. That's the top 7 right there for me. The second 7 is Age of Ultron, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk. So you have a top 7, and then the first 3 in that middle 7 are those 3 movies. Now, on my list, Incredible Hulk is number 10, The Avengers is number 11. That might be blasphemy for some people, but that's a different conversation, right? So the reason why I put Incredible Hulk there is because, again, for all of the... I don't hear any valid complaints about the Incredible Hulk that can't be argued or disputed, right? People say, and I'm going to talk about this when I eventually get my villains video recorded and edited and everything like that. People say that Abomination is a bad villain. How? Where? Why? I don't have... I get that people didn't like the fact that a lot of the early MCU films were the hero fighting against a copy of themselves, but for the universe, it made sense. One of Iron Man's biggest, for Iron Man 1 and 2, one of his biggest enemies in the comic books, Ironmonger and Crimson Dynamo, who was the basis for Whiplash and Iron Man 2, for those that for the one person that might be listening that didn't already know that, right? Ivan Vanko, who they actually, I believe, created a character for. They made a Whiplash version of in the comic books, but I believe his father, Anton Vanko, is the Crimson Dynamo in the comics. A lot of Tony's villains were predicated on stealing his technology. So, of course, one of his villains in his movie, there was a chance that one of his villains for the movies was going to be a copy of himself, right? They could say the same thing about Captain America fighting Red Skull. They could say the same thing for Incredible Hulk fighting Abomination. But again, Abomination is one of Hulk's biggest, like, most well-known villains in his particular rogues gallery, besides By Beast and the Leader, which the Leader was in the film. He just wasn't the leader yet, right? So when people complain about Abomination, I don't get it. You can, and Tim Roth gave a very, very good performance in The Incredible Hulk for Emil Blonsky, because if you don't understand what Abomination's motivation is, and you think that he's just evil just to be evil, then you need to go rewatch this movie, because it's very clear that Emil Blonsky is a soldier way past his prime, looking to stay in the game and willing to do anything to do it. So once he gets brought on to track the Hulk and he sees that power that Bruce displays after he transforms and he tears up that factory, he tells Thunderbolt himself, I want that. Whatever you got to do. So then he gives him this, whatever version of the super soldier serum that they came up with. Because this Hulk, what people don't realize is that the MCU Hulk is based from the Ultimates and the TV show. So it has the origin set up as the TV show, but it has roots in the Ultimates from Bruce Banner basically becoming the Hulk after experimenting with the super soldier serum, because they had that on ice. That's what they pulled out of the freezer to inject into Blonsky to make him the super soldier. It wasn't the exact formula, obviously, because it got lost with Dr. Erskine and the first Captain America film. But Blonsky very clearly is power hungry, and he's, again, past his prime soldier, because even Ross brings it up. Shouldn't you be like a corporal, or I don't know the rankings for the military, but he asked him, shouldn't he be a way higher ranking than what he current than a field soldier? And he was like, no, I would rather be out in the field, sir. So he's clearly power hungry and looking for any edge that he can get. So yeah, of course he volunteers to get the that weird ass serum injected into his bones and his joints and shit like that. And then when after he's actually seen the Hulk and he has opportunity, when they ambush him at Samuel Stern's lab, he tells him again, or he says again in the film, the power that he showed. I want that. And then that's when we get that cringy line. You look like you've got something in you already. This combination could be an abomination. That's when we get that cringy line. But he tells him in the look of desperation on Tim Roth's face. He's sweating. He looks pale. He's like, I want that.
Yeah.
That's his motivation right then and there. He wants what the Hulk has. It's not about, oh, I'm just a bad guy, just be bad. No, this is going to give me the edge that I fucking want. Do it. Do whatever you have to do to get me there. I don't understand what people don't understand about that. It's very clearly laid out.
Yeah. He's not in it for money. He's not like...
He doesn't want to take over the world.
Yeah, he didn't get wronged, by his family or, someone murdered his family. It wasn't nothing like that. He was just like, he was the power hungry dude. I mean, right. He was probably one of those things, like he was probably already an asshole, but knowing once he found out about the Hulk and everything like that, it just presented a challenge to him. So he was just like, I just want to get that. Like you were saying, I want to be at that level. It's godlike.
Right.
Exactly. So like
it's like that. I look at it like Samuel Jackson's character in Kong Skull Island. He doesn't want the war to be over.
Yeah.
Which is why he was like, shouldn't you be hired? It's like, then I wouldn't be in the war.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my opinion on Abomination. And the plot itself is nothing special. It's not some super crazy plot or anything like that. It's literally Bruce Banner trying to escape the government chasing him and trying to get rid of the Hulk.
Well, yeah.
It's nothing super crazy, but still, I think the execution, and there could be better. There could have been better choices made with certain areas of the film. There's no doubt about that. But still, a lot of the things in this film just do not get enough credit. Again, people, and Bruce can attest to this. The Hulk we were out in California at our friend's wedding, and the Incredible Hulk was on TV, and Bruce was watching it. And the scene where he beats the shit out of Abomination with the police car using it as boxing gloves. That scene came on, and I literally just went into a fucking rant about how much this movie gets disrespected, and it needs to fucking stop.
Well, and I mean, it's by no means is it like the perfect MCU movie. Like, there's very, very few MCU movies that are like legit flawless. If there's one thing that I can say that was definitely improved on, and I mean, just from a director's like point of view, is like the Hulk that we got in Avengers. That is like that's a great Hulk. Like, he's the perfect mix of like beastly, and he's like proportionate wise. He's perfect, like visually. I wasn't too crazy about the visual look of the Hulk. Like, I know they did like the moppy hair, but they went really, really ripped.
Yeah,
but,
they wanted to make him look like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, and that's even what the director said. He goes, I wanted it to look like the peak of like
human
perfection.
Physique.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. So he was like, if Captain America was like the way that he was, the Hulk needed to be like more like animalistic. That's why it was real veiny and just shredded out the ass. Like, he was just abbed up and everything.
Yeah.
He still looked beastly.
Yeah.
And he was a decent height, because that was another thing, is they were trying to deter away from like that Hulk that kept on growing.
Yeah.
So they were like, we need to make him like a specific like size. But even then, I mean, like that wasn't that bad. It wasn't a deal breaker, but it was like, okay, I could, I would have made a different looking Hulk, Yeah.
But
then and then Abomination didn't really look like, Abomination from the comics.
And he didn't, but even though he didn't, I think what they went with was a better choice, because there's really nothing to explain why Abomination looks the way that he does. Like, he looks like an alligator.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like,
So
yeah, he's got like yeah,
he got
exactly.
the weird sharp gremlin ears, and he has the scaly skin. Why does he look like that? Again,
Yeah.
I don't know too much about Abomination's backstory, so I don't know if the experiments that if he went through experiments and they were testing crocodile or alligator or something like that. I don't know. But
Sure.
with the way that it played out in the film, it makes sense for him to look like that because again, he got that serum injected into the bony tissue of his body,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
he got Bruce's gamma blood um, injected into himself, and then went through actual gamma radiation. So of
Yeah.
course his bones are going to protrude, they're going to start poking out of his skin, and just him going through that gamma radiation is going to put him on the same kind of peak physical body stature of the Hulk. So he's gonna
Yeah.
look like a mutant from the Fallout series, a super mutant. So it makes
Yeah.
sense for him to do so. So
Yeah.
I didn't hate the way that Abomination looked. It made sense. And
I
plus,
mean, I
you know,
didn't
you
hate it
can't.
either. Like
I
I
mean,
said, I'm just
yeah, no, I get it. And
yeah.
plus, you know, it was different. It's the same reason why Drax is fucking gray and not green. You already got a green character in Gamora. That's why James Gunn went with the pink version of Mantis instead of the green version, because he didn't want too many characters that look the same. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Abomination, and even though he's like a jade green or forest green, and the Hulk is more of a lighter green.
Yeah,
In
he
this
didn't want
movie,
two green
right?
characters.
You don't want two green characters, so Abomination is fucking brown.
Sure.
So, you know, again, I don't understand. I just don't understand the hate because I haven't heard any legitimate arguments against the
Yeah.
film that can't be argued against. We've already
Yeah.
disproven the villain thing. The plot got the story is a Hulk story. That's the thing. It's a Hulk story. You know, when has Bruce not wanted to get rid of the Hulk? When has he
Yeah.
not, been running away from the government and Thunderbolt Ross?
And I think that was another thing that like people just I don't even know. It's almost like they weren't ready for it because usually these superhero movies, when the alter ego is playing the superhero or being the superhero, they're having a good time doing it. I mean, you look at movies like Spider-Man, and the only movie you can kind of closely compare Hulk to is Iron Man because it came out a couple of months before. But like any time that someone's doing that, the hero is having a good time when they're the hero.
Yeah.
But this is a situation where like Bruce, he did not like being the Hulk. And he wanted to get rid of it, and he wanted to just like he kept on trying to find a cure, which it was just like I don't know, it was just it was a good flip on the whole like superhero movie game, and I mean the guy's in hiding, and I don't know, they just did an amazing job on that movie. I mean,
Yeah, they did.
I liked how they went to the different locations. I liked the running scenes because apparently the director he had made like a bunch of. I can't remember. I know he did like racing movies or something like that. I don't know.
I think
I
Louis
haven't.
Leterrier might have been a music video director or something like that. Because
Yeah.
I know he went on to do like that terrible Clash of the Titans remake. But I think he might have been a music video director or something like that. Which I mean, that happens a lot in Hollywood. A lot of music video directors end up getting like a big break on a Hollywood film and end up breaking out.
One of the things I can definitely appreciate was I liked comic book movies are always doing like subtle nods.
Yeah.
And you were talking earlier about how like the MCU's like cookie cutter vibe is like a lot of comedy or anything. I think this film had like a good amount of just some humor that just worked well with it, where you didn't lose it, where people were like, oh man, this is more of a comedy than it is. Like the recent movies get criticized. They're like, damn man, that was more of a comedy than it was a horror, or like something different, like a drama.
Yeah.
But this film, I think, had the right amount. I think there were just a couple of good ones, so
I like to, if you like if you look at the Hulk's journey, I think if you kind of tell people to go back to where MCU Hulk started, it should get more appreciation because, like, you know, when Endgame and Bruce is like, I learned to live with the Hulk. And it was like, go back and watch the beginning of that relationship in Incredible Hulk when he's trying to get rid of the Hulk.
Right.
Like that starts the journey. It's like, this guy, like, I have no control over. You know, like there's literally something in me that can kill millions of people if left unchecked, and I have to get rid of it.
Right.
And then, so by it, you know, being literally the second movie in the MCU, where you got the guy, it kind of follows into the same vein as Iron Man with, oh, I'm doing something that's responsible for all of this destruction. I alone have to stop that. It both has that. They both have that, but then what Tony's saying, yeah, I can just stop making weapons, or I can make a weapon and counteract the weapon that like, Bruce can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I have to find a way to stop. Like, and then, you know, toward the end where he was like, okay, I think I have a cure for the Hulk, and now Abomination's out, and he was like, okay, I'm the only person who can stop him. I have to give in to this literal monster that's inside me to save people's lives. It was like, so I have to give up what I want for myself to save others. It was like, and that reluctant hero of, yeah, this guy is an uncontrollable monster, but there's a controlled monster who's kind of just wants to do destruction now.
Right.
I have to sacrifice my wants for a bigger need. And I don't think many comic book movies really tackle that subject anymore.
They don't. And John, that sounds like that was you struggling with whatever plastic thing that was. I was like, damn, he having a whole lot of trouble. But no, they don't. And I think I kind of had, because Hulk didn't do the best at the box office when it came out. If Iron Man made, and I have all the movies pulled up for my villains ranking list, so I can easily go to the page and see what it made at the box office. The Hulk made, come on and load. The Incredible Hulk made, Wikipedia says it made $263 million at the box office. Now I'm guessing that's domestic and not worldwide. So, you know, it's, oh, never mind. That was worldwide. Okay. So yeah, the Incredible Hulk made under 300 million worldwide, right? And Iron Man, and mind you, again, the budget says 150 million. So, you know, I don't know if the Hulk was necessarily a win or a loss, because generally you take the budget and then you take half of that for marketing or whatever like that. That's generally what they say you got to do in order to figure out how much it really costs.
I think one of the reasons it probably gets not the hate that it gets, but I guess just doesn't get the love that it deserves, is I think that when they released Iron Man, like, here's the thing. I didn't have a doubt in my mind that Iron Man wasn't going to be good. I just didn't know it was going to be that good.
Right.
And I think when they started to see like that, those numbers, like for Iron Man, just be like, damn, like Iron Man was like one of the biggest risks, like, in movie history.
Yeah.
You know, like it, and they even talk about it in their special features, be like, man, this was like really, like, it felt like we were making an independent movie, just had a little bit more of a bigger budget.
Yeah.
You know, and then when it came out, it was just like, boom, man. It was just like, nobody knew who Iron Man was. And then all of a sudden, you know, Iron Man's on people's t-shirts and they got all these toys, and it's just like people were loving it, you know, and it was almost like a new hero had been created. It was crazy. And then you had the Incredible Hulk, you know, right there kind of after it. And so I think what Marvel was like, all right, here's our big one, you know, here's the next big one. And this one, we're taking a familiar person. So, you know, because the Hulk was, you know, granted, now he's kind of like not been in any solo movies, but the Hulk is one of the most popular characters in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, he is.
Like everybody's associated. Like people know. You don't even have to read Hulk, comics to know who the Hulk is.
Right.
He's had TV shows, whether you're a fan of the TV show or the comics or the cartoons or whatever. So they're like, oh man, well, here's one of our A-listers. Like this is one of the big dogs that we got, and we're gonna put this one out. So this one should at least be, way better than Iron Man. And I don't think don't get me wrong, I don't think that the Incredible Hulk movie is better than Iron Man. So I think they got disappointed in that. And then I think the next month that follows, you got The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight just, ran through it all because of the Heath Ledger hype and the Joker thing. So I think that just killed the momentum, like that's what sucks about these movies coming out now is like you have one cinematic or one, superhero movie coming out, but then like 2 months later you have another one. So like it doesn't have that, like Iron Man got May and June, to keep on making money. And the Hulk just got June because once July came, it was all about The Dark Knight and everybody was on that, train. So I don't know. I think that may be it. That may have cost some numbers, but
I think so.
I don't know.
I think it might have been that, as well as it might have been people might have still been remembering the Ang Lee Hulk, and
noted. Yeah.
That might have had something to do with it as well. And I also think that the Incredible Hulk just it wasn't, as you said, the Hulk is one of the more popular characters in the Marvel universe, right? He's up there with Spider-Man. Like people think of Spider-Man, Hulk, Wolverine, a couple of other X-Men figures, maybe Captain America, when they think of, Marvel heroes before the movies came out. Because again, Iron Man was a C-list hero.
Yeah.
I think the Incredible Hulk movie, I think people were expecting something different. Because when you think about the Hulk, you think about the Hulk smashing, destroying shit, just being a general nuisance to the general population.
Yeah.
And I don't think this movie is not that. It's not Ang Lee's super artistic, thought-provoking Hulk movie. But it's also not just your standard destroy everything action film. And I think that's probably what people were expecting going into a Hulk movie. And that might have bit it in the ass a little bit.
That's true. It could be true.
So I think there are a number of factors. But I think if the Incredible Hulk comes out today, it makes way more than 263 million worldwide. I think if you release the Hulk anywhere in phase 2 or 3, maybe somewhere in phase 2, like right after, if we don't have the Incredible Hulk film and we get the Hulk in the first Avengers film, and, he kind of they give a little bit of backstory as to what he's been through up until this point. And honestly, you can still kind of start you don't need to watch the Incredible Hulk to kind of get where Bruce Banner's been since before that. So you can have the Avengers film with no Incredible Hulk film before it and still have him kind of tie into the film. If you release an Incredible Hulk movie in phase 2, definitely somewhere after the first Avengers films, absolutely after Age of Ultron, the Incredible Hulk makes 800 million easy. Because you've already, and I would say after Age of Ultron, because you already get, even going up to that point, people are kind of starting to say Marvel movies kind of look the same, and they're kind of all have this same strict formula that they follow. They're cookie cutter. I think Incredible Hulk would have been different enough if you released the same movie as is, right? that movie makes at least $600 million.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't agree to that just because, like, if you released it, I think it's just a whole different. Like, that was the other thing is like the character of Bruce and the Hulk in Avengers is a completely different character from the one that was in the Incredible Hulk.
You think
Like,
so?
I mean, oh yeah, dude. Like, that. If there was one thing that I can just remember, because it's been 6 years, but if there's one thing that I can remember from the Avengers that I was just like, wasn't really cool with that, is like, wait, you mean to tell me the Bruce Banner that's been running from the government for years and years and years and years, all of a sudden Natasha shows up at his door. She says, "Hey, we need you for a project," and he says, "Yes." Like, nah, fam. Those are two completely different characters. Now, if they told him or bribed him and said, like, "Yo, we think we have a cure, but we're gonna need your help," and he went in and said, "All right, bet. If you guys are gonna help me get rid of it," But I just think like that was the one like recruitment scene where I was just like, wait, what? Like, he didn't want to be bothered by anybody. Then all of a sudden, Natasha bats her eyes and, all right, cool.
I can see where you're coming from with that, but at the same time, I think you're forgetting how the Incredible Hulk ended. It ended with Bruce, because that was the thing going into the Avengers film. It was either going to be the team against Hulk or the team against Loki. And the way that the Incredible Hulk ended was with Bruce on the run, and it has that cool little, because during the film they have this counter where it says days since the incident, and then it goes down to 0 after being 465 or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, however many days it was since he jumped off and disappeared from the actual end of the film or the end of the conflict after his fight with Abomination to him being in the woods, it has the counter, and then it goes down because Bruce now has an idea of how to control the Hulk or control his transformations. So I think Natasha going to recruit him and saying, "Hey, you're the world's," and I mean, I think it plays into Bruce being that person that wants to do right by humanity first and foremost. Again, just like Bruce stated when he said, "Look, we have the Abomination running around Harlem. He can destroy the city, kill a whole bunch of people. Right now, I don't need to worry about trying to cure the Hulk. We need to aim this thing so we can go down there, so I can go down there and let him fight him. That's our best bet." I think at that point, it became Natasha explaining to him, "We're tracking this Tesseract is giving off gamma radiation. You're the world's leading scientist in gamma radiation, so we kind of need your help." And Bruce being I think that was one of the better, funnier moments in the film as well, when he fakes a Hulk out just to see what she would do. And he was like, "I'm sorry. That was a cruel joke." So I think him, generally having control over his Hulk outs, and then Natasha saying, "Hey, we need you to help track this thing," because it wasn't like "Hey, we need you to help fight," nothing like that. It was straight up, "We need your help tracking this thing. That's all we need you for."
Yeah.
So I think because that was another one of his things. He was running from the government because he knew Thunderbolt Ross wanted to use the Hulk as a weapon.
Yeah.
Again, that, as far as I'm concerned, that entire man's body is property of the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So at that point, that reassurance, "We just need you to help us find this thing."
That makes sense. Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
I don't think that he was a completely different character. So I think you could have still dropped the Incredible Hulk anywhere in phase 2. And his movie would have made money because it's so different from everything else that it would have been a draw alone. Now, what Bruce said, if people go back and watch The Incredible Hulk, and then you see the arc that he went through up through Endgame, it makes it that much more satisfying, because he went from, I need to get rid of this thing, to I learned how to live with it, and we came together, and now there's the best of both worlds. Because I think there's a mistake with Endgame where people think that that's Bruce in the Hulk's body, but I honestly think it's a combination of the two. It's not Bruce Banner, it's not the Hulk. I honestly think that that's Professor Hulk. I think it's a merger of the two personalities.
I agree.
So it literally started from, I'm trying to get rid of this thing, to I'm learning how to live with it. Now this is what that equation comes out to. So yeah. I just, hell, I might put on The Incredible Hulk tomorrow. I'm going to be putting on Spider-Man tonight. Had a friend that said that they were barbecuing. Haven't heard back from me yet, so I might see what's up with that. It's kind of too late to be going out and barbecuing and shit, but who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna watch Spider-Man for my review on that. But yeah, anytime The Incredible Hulk is on, I don't watch TV a lot, but anytime The Incredible Hulk is on, I always watch it.
Oh yeah, man.
And every now and then, when I get in the mood to watch The Incredible Hulk, I watch it, because The Incredible Hulk is a good film.
It is.
Is it as flashy as what we've known the MCU to become? No, not at all. But I don't really necessarily think you need that with a Hulk film. You can do a more personal film with the Hulk. And that's kind of what certain fans were clamoring for when it came to the Avengers movies and those solo sequels, right? Even Joss Whedon himself, he said, I wanted to make Age of Ultron more personal, which I think he did, but I think Age of Ultron was still kind of might have been under that Marvel committee that they had. So I think that's when the studio kind of came in and said, hey, you need to cut this Hawkeye section of the film and put that Thor scene in. And he was like, look, I'm keeping both. So yeah, I think that might have been more. Now I could be wrong, but I think that might have been more of a Marvel committee thing instead of like a Kevin Feige coming in and saying, "Hey, do this and do that." But people are clamoring for more personal films going forward, because they kind of got a little too grandiose, and I think the Hulk is the perfect personal solo film to dump in the middle of a bunch of sequels to the other films, right? You give the Hulk his kind of moment in the Avengers, and then you come out the Avengers with, let's say, Iron Man 3 is kind of perfect where it's at, being right after Avengers. If you take Hulk out, whatever movie you want to replace it with, or you want to put in, however you want to shift the schedule back to kind of fit Hulk in to phase 2, I think you do it, because, after the Avengers, people wanted more of that Hulk, wanted more of the Hulk, especially with how Ruffalo kind of played him reserved and not really wanting to get into things. And just like, hey, I'm here to help track this thing and get out of here. This ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm minding my business. And I'm trying to go back to Calcutta where I was at. I think this is the perfect type of... Obviously, you have to tweak a couple of things in The Incredible Hulk if you're going to release it post-Avengers. But I think if you release a Hulk movie like that now, it definitely makes more than 260 million. I don't think it makes $1 billion, but it definitely makes more than 500, 600 million at the box office worldwide. That's just
I can see that. So, listening to you guys, go back and forth, also got me thinking. I think overall, the actor change between, when we first, the first four into the MCU and then coming together in Avengers. And the fact that the movie, that there's no follow-up in Solo, and that the Incredible Hulk really wasn't building toward anything, say for, saying Stark in the post-credit scenes. I think that's one of the reasons they get left behind, because when you look at all the other movies, they're kind of leading somewhere.
Well, they did. I mean, they did a little bit when when they do like a small like origin of the leader, because I mean,
Yes.
dude busted his head, but I mean,
I'm talking about it's not leading anywhere.
It's not leading to anything
MCU.
Dealing with
sure
the Avenger films or anything like that.
Sure, yeah, okay, I got you there.
So when you're going back, you're like, okay, the first Iron Man, Nick Fury shows up and says the Avenger Initiative. Incredible Hulk, Stark comes up, is like, I hear you have a problem. It's like, okay, yeah, but and then every subsequent movie is kind of tying in to the coming Avengers movie,
right,
except the Incredible Hulk. So now when you like, all right, I'm about to do a marathon, it kind of seems out of place in phase one, like Courtney was saying. Like, oh, all right, okay. If it wasn't for that post-credit scene, I wouldn't feel that it's kind of, building toward the overall MCU. Like, it feels like it could take place in it, but it doesn't feel like it's building. And then everything after that just builds. Even if it's like taking something away, it's going to play a part later on, as you can see, like, and Winter Soldier, the shield being taken down, but you can kind of see later on in movies how that's going to play, bigger parts. And then you sit back and just go, okay, all right. Well, why aren't the Avengers together, when the initial threat of Thanos is brought upon us? Oh, Civil War happened.
Yeah.
Why is, Hulk in space? Oh, Thor Ragnarok happened, but none of it goes, why did this happen? And you can't go back and say Incredible Hulk because of Incredible Hulk, but you can say something else about every other movie in the MCU. Oh, why was, Loki the main villain in Avengers? Because Thor happened, and they set up that he's going to be doing something else, even though he's thought to be dead. Oh, why did this happen? Because of this movie, but none of it goes back except for, hey, who's Thunderbird Ross? Oh, he was in Incredible Hulk. Like, that's the only thing that you can do, but that wasn't an original setup. So if you, like, once again, everybody goes back and goes through this thing because it's tying into the bigger picture. I think they just dismiss it instead of it. Oh man, this was a fucking great movie. It's like, oh well, but it didn't tie into the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing with it too. Like, it doesn't do a whole bunch of. I think the actor change, as well as the fact that, and the funny thing is the Tony Stark scene talking to Thunderbolt Ross wasn't even an end credit scene. It was literally the ending of the film.
Yeah.
And so it was, I think the whole basis that it basically is a major standalone film. I think at that point it's, well, we can't really keep referencing back to this because, one, the actors are different. Two, the design of the Hulk is different. It's the ties are so loose. There's no point of referencing back to it when it comes to doing overviews of the entire history.
Exactly.
And so much was explained in the tie-in comic. What's going on with Stearns? Where's the Abomination? And then the consultant one shot from Thor, I believe, where it kind of explained they sent Stark in to go talk to kind of like piss Ross off or annoy him rather. So they, because originally it was, oh, we want the Abomination for the Avengers. That probably won't be a good idea. Send Stark in so he can talk to Ross and we can go after Banner. So it's like, no, I don't. Stark, get out of here. No, the answer is no. So it, so much was explained elsewhere with the film to kind of help tie it into everything. So I think that makes sense where it's not one of those movies that does a heavy part of the world building. So there's not much to reference back to, especially when the main actor is different and the design of the character is different. I wouldn't reference that shit either, because then it's just gonna be too much of a change if you're constantly showing the MCU post Avengers Hulk and his evolution throughout the rest of the films, and then you're cutting back to his origins in the Incredible Hulk. That's gonna be too much of a change, just going back and forth between that shit. So
I mean, that's true too. I mean, I can't argue that. Yeah, I mean, probably in their mind it's not a bad movie, but I don't know, man.
It probably is one of the lower grossing films in the MCU. So I understand. I just wish, because I saw The Incredible Hulk twice, and I liked it that much. But again, Hulk is my favorite character, right? So this, I just wish it had made more, and I thought it was gonna do better than it did. But for whatever reason, it didn't, and now, the rights with Universal are kind of still hovering over the head, and that's why we haven't gotten a sequel.
While we're talking about it, like while we're discussing it, it's like, let's say, for example, let's just so we can have a discussion, let's stop in 2010. 2 years before Avengers goes. So because the next, because that was like the next movie, like that was the Iron Man is the next movie. So what do you do with Hulk before Avengers, or let's say you already have Avengers in the game plan, but what do you do phase 2 or end of phase 1 with Hulk at the point that it was in, like wherever the movie was left off? Because I think that's the challenge, because I've seen articles like that in the past where they talk about the Hulk and they're like, dude, you just can't do anything with him. Like, you have to make, like, I hear that is like a constant challenge. They're like, we're going to put him up against a leader, but like, what are they going to do? And like that was, and someone brought out like the reason that more Hulks are put in like the universe, like, with She-Hulk and with Red Hulk and with Rick Jones and with Doc Samson and all these other characters, is because the Hulk on his own, I guess, wasn't as interesting, because I know there's a couple of good, like really good Hulk reads, but this is again before like 2010, but everybody just knew him as the man on the run from the show, like right. He's running from people and stuff like that.
The lonely man.
The lonely man. Yeah. So, I mean, my question is, like, because this is something that I've never even thought about, like, what do you do with Hulk, post-Incredible Hulk, pre-Avengers, or post-Avengers 1? Like, where do you put him in a solo movie?
Going over, like, the story, or where are we placing his movie?
Yeah, okay. No, spitball me a sequel. Because I know you've done that before.
So, 2010, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that they had the Avengers planned already, right? Feige has said it in special features before. It wasn't a coincidence that they had all the rights to these characters that were basically the first team of Avengers. So why not build towards that film, right? So if we get Hulk in 2008, Iron Man 2 is 2010. And, we're building toward Avengers. Because what I love about the Avengers referencing the Incredible Hulk, and one of the scenes that I absolutely loved, because it had more world building to it, but you just can't start a fucking movie like this. The Incredible Hulk has an alternate opening scene where Bruce Banner is in the Antarctic or some shit like that. He puts a gun in his fucking mouth and pulls the trigger. and he hulks out. Hulk squashes the gun and then like crushes the ground of ice that he's on. And as the blocks of ice kind of break up and rush towards the camera, you see the silhouette of Captain America in one of them. I love that idea of that, you know, tying it even more into the rest of everything else and tying Hulk's origin with super soldier serums and everything like that. I love that opening, right? So you know, whether or not that's canon, I say it is because they reference it in the Avengers. I put a bullet in my mouth and the other guy spit it out. What I do with a Hulk sequel post-event, I'm doing it post-Avengers. It's going to be weird. It's not going to be Ang Lee weird, I don't think. But it's going to be weird. And it's going to be a personal film. Because what I do with a Hulk sequel post-Avengers is you make it a story about schizophrenia. You make it a story about Bruce Banner having different personalities in his head. Different Hulk personalities in his head. Because he always referenced the Hulk as a different personality. Put a bullet in my mouth. The other guy spat it out. So this opens up, and then, you know, and I would say you do this post Avengers, but before Age of Ultron, because then if you do a Hulk film where it's him kind of battling himself, and you can have the leader be the main villain, like the main puppet master villain, and then you can have Absorbing Man, a proper Absorbing Man, not the Nick Nolte version. You can have a proper Absorbing Man as like the punching fodder for the Hulk, but you can have the leader kind of trying to play mind games with the Hulk in order to give himself up. So the leader, because that's another thing with the leader, he's kind of similar to Blonsky was in the film, where he wanted the Hulk's power. So he figured, I'm already like the smartest person alive. If I have the Hulk's body and all that power, I'm unstoppable. So that's kind of the leader's motivation. So you can have him playing mind games with Banner, trying to basically destroy his make him super insecure, destroy his self-esteem, and just, you know, overall play mind games with him. And I think if you show that there are different personalities in Banner's head with reference to the Hulk, and that's one of the main reasons why he was so adamant about getting rid of it, that, you know, it can change the way you look at certain things that happen in the universe. So with the ending of the Hulk, him actually controlling it, or, you know, having that controlled transformation, and him saying, that's my secret, Cap, I'm always angry. You doing a mental illness film with the Hulk makes you look at those things differently, because what if that's him agreeing with that one personality in his head in those specific moments? And then the reason why you put this before Age of Ultron, because then we now have an explanation to what Wanda did to the Hulk to set him off. That's Savage Hulk fighting the rest of those personalities in his fucking head that he thinks are manifesting in Africa. Boom, right there.
All right. They did better than me. Yeah, you did it better than me.
I kind of go in a different area with it, as, you know, the beginning of Incredible Hulk basically set up like, oh, this is kind of a sequel to the TV series. I would kind of lean into that more. Just have Bruce just wandering the globe, and hey, this is my alias for this week. You know, this is my appearance for this week. And then with this, I would start. this is where I would start the building of, because of, what happened in the Incredible Hulk. Like with you, I put it, after the Avengers. And then I just have Bruce just go MIA. Like he would never appear in that post-credit scene in Iron Man 3.
Right. Okay.
He just wouldn't, because I just have him go MIA. It was like, oh, we lost Bruce. Because this kind of established, like in Age of Ultron, that the Hulk kind of just, you know what? I help with this. Now I'm bouncing.
Right.
But yeah. I would start building the relationship between Banner and Hulk that way that the Professor Hulk isn't that big of a surprise. So you kind of see that, okay, an Incredible Hulk and an Avengers, we were, at the end of Incredible Hulk with him trying to control the transformation, is like, I know this guy it's a different entity, different personality. I'm trying to reach out to him so that we can have something to talk about. So then it kind of hits a little bit home when Hulk just disappears in Infinity War. It's like, okay, I've done something to anger him. Now we really got to get to the bottom of our relationship.
Right. Yeah.
So while he's just going on, so like you can kind of spread it up, like the 3 acts take place in 3 different towns where something goes wrong, the Hulk out, and then fight. Like you have a throwaway. It's like, okay, the Hulk really wasn't needed for that fight, but I kind of needed the Hulk for that fight personally because I couldn't have done it. But there's all this destruction. But as he's going out, you just seeing, wait a second, these are happening everywhere I go. It's kind of, I'll take it from the episode of Superman animated series when the Flash and Superman are having that race, and the Weather Wizard seems to always know where they are.
Yeah.
Because the leader has, samples of Bruce's blood. Now he's got it in his head, so now he's starting to track him.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, I just want to see what the Hulk is capable of, so that if I can find a way to replicate his power, as you were saying, his power with my mind. So it's the leader testing the Hulk until he tries to take him down, and then so it's building up to, instead of brute force versus brute force, it's brilliance versus brute force, and then brilliance, because then you still got the Bruce. Like Bruce is noticed, like, how the fuck is it always finding me? Like the Hulk shouldn't be. Well, I'm Bruce Banner. I should not be found this easily, and it's just escalating. So he's like, okay, somebody is doing something, and then he was like, but who will have a vested interest in this? Boom. Oh, hey, I kind of gave that guy my blood.
Yeah.
He has he kind of went crazy with it. This might be the guy who has the vested interest. And then him and his new appearance is like, what the hell did you do to yourself? He's like, I didn't do this. We did this. Yeah. And then it's just like, we have to, we're one and the same, except, and then it's just like, I don't know. That's not how I get down. And it's using a psychological thing, but it's not, I'm not, it's like you said, in the multiple personalities, but it's just these 2 personalities trying to come together to, so, it's like, you kind of see glimpses of the Professor, like, because, like, you see, like, back and forth talk between Hulk and Banner while he's hulked out. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, there might be something there. So I just, like, plant the seeds later for the Professor than anything. So I kind of build up, because you they kind of, like, it's legit sprung on you because of how little the Hulk is featured in movies. Like, they went a long way in Thor Ragnarok, but once again, it's a Thor movie.
Right.
So I kind of just start building the stages of the Hulk. Like, yes, this is, the base level Hulk we know. Maybe there's more. And with that more comes a different strength level, just different tactics and everything. So I'll start building up the different types of Hulks.
Yeah. And I think just one change with yours, as he's going through the different cities, he can be on the search for the leader. Because per the tie-in comic, Fury's Big Week, they lost. I think they arrested Stearns. They caught him later on, but after Shield got destroyed and the Winter Soldier and everything like that, he can be on the run. So Banner is searching for him, and Stern can be leaving these little test fights along the way in different, because he's been spotted in in Egypt. Let's go there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now I gotta fight this monster. Like, what the fuck is going on? Why is all of this? What's going on here? And it doesn't have to be gamma irradiated monsters. It can be, just random monsters that the leader created, or robots or something like that. But he could be kind of tracking the leader, trying to stop him, and leader could just be baiting him the entire time.
Yeah.
If we're going with like canonical shit that we've seen in the film and in the comics.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
But yeah, you going to attempt one, John, or was it?
Nah, man. I'm not that talented. Like, I'll leave that to y'all. Like, because even then, from my last Spider-Man one, I was like, yo, just take whatever they did in the game. That's cool with me. So, but I'm really, really digging, now that you guys are kind of, on that, the whole like split personality, because there's not, like y'all said it perfectly, not a lot of people have that in the superhero movie universe.
Right.
Like, I mean, they have the split personality, but they're not legitimately, like, let's take Batman, for example. Batman is not arguing with Bruce Wayne like, yo, you got to stop doing this.
Right.
No, Bruce Wayne likes to be Batman.
Right.
He goes out, like, he does that shit on purpose. Same thing with every other superhero. Bruce is going to be like, I can already kind of envision, like, from y'all spitballing idea, the conversations that he would be having with his head, like with Hulk, or the nightmares that he could be having, like just the visuals that you could see of like Hulk, like basically being real into the rage and like grabbing Bruce by the throat and like a dream sequence, like all that. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I'm on that train that y'all are on, but I'm not good enough to give a creative story like that. Like, y'all just took it out there.
Yeah, but because I'm very big on the MCU, on Kevin Feige letting directors direct and create. And I thought the first Doctor Strange film was going to be a horror film because Scott Derrickson was directing it. And even though he said that in the Multiverse of Madness is going to be a horror film, I think you can make a Hulk sequel. If you were to release a Hulk sequel in the time frame that I was talking about, it could have been the first horror film. And if done well enough, because of course you're still gonna have Hulk fighting shit, but it's in his head now, and he's fighting himself and fighting, Absorbing Man or some robot that Stearns created or something like that, or Beast or whatever. It can be, these different type of fights, but overall it's just such a personal story, and it's not one where the villain is, I want to destroy the world, I want to take over the world, I want this. It's no, I want what you have, your insignificant and everything else. I just want the power that you have. So, maybe the world hates you, Bruce. Why do you keep going out and do this? Let me take on that burden. You deserve to live a happy, normal life. Let me take this off your shoulders. Playing those type of mind games, and Bruce has to combat with that, down near giving in, and then having nightmares about Devil Hulk coming out. Or and this is where you go into deep cuts from the comics. He can have a Tony Stark like vision of Maestro Hulk. Like, there's so much potential in doing an Incredible Hulk sequel on him dealing with, and you can even still do it now post Endgame, honestly. Because, again, I think this Professor Hulk is just a new personality. It's a merging of the two. But I think there's still potential for him to battle with himself and other personalities inside of his head. So, but that's if they want to go down that route. And who knows what they want to do. But I think there's even still potential to do something like that now. So
yeah.
Well,
I mean, we'll definitely see the potential with old what's it called, She-Hulk.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Let's see how they execute that, because that could be an interesting TV show, man. That's a lawyer drama. That's a police procedural right there with, She-Hulk as a fucking, like, Jennifer Walters as a lawyer. Like, do they make Jennifer Walters' cousin? How does she become She-Hulk? How do they execute this shit? So
yeah, I think that I'm more interested in seeing how that's what route they're going to take there.
Yeah,
but we can only wait and see. Yeah.
When does that shit launch? November?
Man, I don't even know.
Go sale to sign up in November. Whatever. I'm copping that shit.
Yeah.
I'm copping. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on my thoughts on Incredible Hulk. It's a very, very good film that doesn't get the credit it deserves.
Agreed.
Yep.
100%.
All right. Well, that does it. We'll come up with a topic for another episode. For Bruce and John, I'm Courtney, the smaller half of the Brothers Deconstruction, and we'll be catching you guys later. Peace out.
Later.